Today we're going to be taking a close-up look and getting a first impression review of this Mark Bass CMB 150 Black Line Bass Amplifier. I would like to start with showing you the box up close as I'm doing here. We're going to open up the box, take a look at all the contents, and then we'll get into a sound demonstration. Taking a first look at what's within the box, when opening up the CMB 150 Black Line by Mark Bass, this is how the package comes. Now, when I ordered this from Guitar Center, I specifically requested for this to be brand new so that way we can open it together here in this video. At the time of purchasing this Mark Bass CMB 150 Black Line, there was a limited stock available. It is in December 2024. The next stock, from what I've been told, was going to be available June or July 2025. So depending on when you're watching this review, this amp may or may not be available, but if you're looking to get it, I would definitely recommend holding out if this is one within your budget, because this amp is definitely going to be packing a punch, and you'll see why here in a moment. So taking the amp out of the box, this is it right here. Now, I'm not sure if you can tell if it's a smaller amp or a larger amp. However, this is not by any means on a smaller end, and it's not by any means the largest amp that I've seen. It is a medium-sized amp, is the best way that I can put it. For those that are wondering what else is in the box, at the bottom we are greeted with the user manual and the power cable, as you can see. Taking a close-up look at the CMB 150 Black Line parameters, we have a sort of mid-dip, gain low, mid-low, mid-high, high, and a master. There's also a boost parameter, an input right there, and on the right over here we have an aux in and a line in for phones. So in terms of parameters, that's everything that comes on top of the CMB 150 Black Line. These are all the accessories. There's a close-up look at some of the amp textures. I'm going to be using my acoustic bass as well to kind of give some demonstrations, as well as an electric guitar as well. If you were wondering the size of the amp, here I am, and I'm going to sit on the amp right here, as you can see, to give you kind of sort of a comparison. The size is, again, in that mid-range size. It isn't too small and it isn't too large. It does have a little bit of weight to it. I would say about 38 or so pounds. As I was looking into this amp, I did see some complaints about this mesh screen right here, that it gives off a sound. From my playing experience, I haven't noticed any sound coming from this specific mesh screen right here. However, what is cool about this screen is that it is removable. It doesn't have to be on there if we don't want it to be. You just simply pull this strap right here at the bottom, and you can see the mesh screen comes right off. It's put to the amp using Velcro, so it's really easy to come off. As you can see right here, there's just a couple of Velcro strips around the frame. Simply put it on and it sticks, and there it goes. It's really easy and straightforward. If you don't want to use that, you don't have to. To install the screen, it's pretty much the same process in reverse. I'm just simply going to line it up, place it in there like so, and the Velcro does the rest of the work for me. This thing is locked there. It's not going to come out. It's not going to fall out by accident. Maybe over time if the Velcro weakens, but as of right now, it's going to hold up strong. I haven't noticed any adversities from that mesh right there. Here's a full 360 view of the Mark Bass CMB 150 Black Line. I'm going to give you a close-up here at this back area here in a moment, but I want to show you this amp full 360 so that way you could know what to expect on your end. Feel free to pause at any point so that way you can thoroughly read these details on your end. You can see it also has some send and return, as well as a ground lift right there and a line out. So in my opinion, if you're wanting to get practice out of this amp, this could be a great practice amp. If you're wanting to do like small gigs with this, and this can possibly be a great amp to do small gigs with as well. For those that are wondering, this CMB 150 comes equipped with a 12-inch speaker. Let's check out the Mark Bass CMB 150 sound. Right now, I'm just simply going to run this acoustic bass directly in. We're not going to do any effects, although we are going to try effects here in a moment. I'm going to run the bass, I'm going to run the electric, I'm going to share the parameters and settings that I have when I'm trying this out so that way you all can hear what it sounds like. In terms of specs, I am using the DJI microphones to capture the audio here, so this is what's capturing the audio here in this video. For my bass guitar, it is an electric, but I'm just simply going to put everything about halfway. We're not going to change the frequency or anything. Everything is halfway. We'll put the volume about halfway to 60%. I shouldn't put it higher than that. If I do, I'll let you know as I make those changes. That's going to be the settings for the bass. We're going to run it directly in from the bass into the amp. Let me show you the settings that I have on the amp real quick. Here are the settings that I'm working with for my Mark Bass CMB 150 Black Line. So the mid dip button right there is not pressed. The gain is about maybe 15% at that. The boost is also not pressed. The low is about halfway. You can see the mid low about halfway. Pretty much everything is about halfway. Master is going to be right around there, but I'm going to put that up to about halfway as well. I'll have the master around there. If I change it, I will definitely let you know. What I'm going to do is I'm just simply going to put this microphone down right here on the top of the amp. I'm just going to let it capture the audio. I'm not necessarily going to mic the amp up right here with this microphone. We can do that in another video. But for now, I kind of wanted to give you an overview, give you an idea of what it sounds like. So let's go ahead and do that. So as I mentioned, everything is halfway locked in. Volume is about halfway. You saw the settings in the back of the Mark Bass. Let's get a sound chest here. Okay, so there is a lot of rumble going on. I have a snare drum behind me here, and I'm not sure if you can hear that, but it's shaking the snare. Impressions, this thing has a nice rumble. It definitely has a lot of low end. So if you're looking for an amp that provides you with that rumbly low end, this one's definitely going to be a good candidate. So let's go ahead and take the volume up just a little bit to see. That's a lot of rumble. I'm not sure if the output is too much for the microphone that I have on top of the amp. If it is, I apologize. I'll see if I can kind of fix that audio to where it doesn't blow your ears out. I don't really want to manipulate the audio too much. I want to give you the raw audio from the video. So I'm hoping it's capturing okay. But at first impressions, the rumble, the low end, all of that is definitely there. It's shaking the room, it's filling the room as well. So this is, at first impressions, a pretty good bass amp. It was between this one for me or the Fender Rumble, but something about Mark Bass is the sound that I was getting when I was testing them out at Guitar Center. I like the tone better from the Mark Bass than I did from the Fender Rumble. To each their own though. I mean, that's with a pick here. If I play a finger here, there's even more rumble. And I'm just playing anything to get the points across, just so that way y'all can hear the tonal value. I'm not really trying to play songs or anything like that. This bass amp, it's actually sounding really nice, filling the room. Now, I can be here all day playing this bass here with you to kind of demonstrate the sounds. What I want to do next is I want to plug in the electric guitar, and I want to see if this thing is capable of transferring electric guitar tones as well on out, to see how it fills the room, to see if there's a lot of low end, high end, to see what we get. I'm going to approach it the same way that I did with the bass. I'm just simply going to get the electric guitar, run it straight into the amp. We're going to play it clean to hear what tones we get. guitar through it, I couldn't get different tones that I'm looking for. So if I'm wanting like a really beefy low end guitar, I can kind of adjust my settings here on my guitar to compensate for a really beefy low end guitar. Or if I'm looking for a guitar that has more like top end, less low end, I can switch it to that, and the rumble's gone. However, I'm still getting that Mark Bass tone. And my settings here, this one's clocked to about 4%, this one's all the way up to 10, and this one is set to the bottom, which I believe it's just this pickup right here. It's going to be just this one right here. And keep in mind, it's just direct in, there's no effects or anything either. I haven't changed the parameters on the amp either as well. Even playing an electric guitar through the Mark Bass CMB 150, I am getting a full tone still. It doesn't necessarily sound like a bass guitar, it sounds like an electric guitar. However, there is more beefy low end, which is what I am in favor of. So let's say, for example, if you have like a two-piece band where it's just a guitar player and some drums, then getting a bass amp to kind of help fill that low end if you don't have a bass player could be a good way to go. Much like the bass, I can sit here and play this guitar all day with you all, but that'll get boring pretty quickly. So what I want to do is I want to run some effects through the amp, and I want to see how this amp process effects like chorus, distortion, delays. Let's check it out. Right now, I have the Boss ME80 pedal running into the CMB 150 here. What I want to do is I want to test out some distortion, and we're going to start there. This is going to be metal distortion. Okay, so it kind of sounds like there's some rumbling going on after I review the audio right now. Now, on my end, there is absolutely no rumbling going on from the CMB 150 Black Line, not even from this mesh right here. I haven't noticed this mesh shaking and providing me with any sort of unwanted sound. I think that the sound, that little rattling sound that you may have heard, is coming from the microphone actually rattling on top of the amp. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to place the microphone down on the floor in front of the amp, so that way we can get a clearer tone without the vibrations. So it's real beefy, distortion is passing through just fine, has no problem relaying that effect. So it's real beefy, distortion is passing through just fine, has no problem relaying that effect. So regardless of how I set my guitar, it's still giving me a really beefy low end. I haven't moved the parameters on the amp either, I kind of just left them all the same right there. Distortion sounds wonderful, sounds beautiful. I'm going to go ahead and add some chorus and let's see how that sounds. Not too much. Around there. electric guitar, I'm still shaking the snare over there. I can still hear it rattling, so this is still giving off a lot of low end. And it's probably just because it is a bass amp, which is why I'm getting that really beefy low end with an electric guitar. I'm personally loving it, to each their own. Sounds very nice. Let's do something a little bit more fun here. Let's try like a pitch shifter maybe. We won't do that. Let's do Tremolo. Sounds beautiful. There's nothing that I don't like about that tone. Let's switch over to a flanger sort of effect and see how that goes. That I want to try before I conclude this review right here is I want to throw some delay through, and I want to see how delays sound. So I have a delay set on the Boss ME80 pedal. So this is more of a first impression review as opposed to a thorough in-depth review. I'm just kind of, giving you all my first impressions out the box, first sounds, how I feel about it. So to conclude this video, at first impressions, I do feel like the brand Mark Bass is a good brand. Trying them at Guitar Center and then trying them here, I've only liked them. I have nothing really negative to say. The tone is there for me. I think the only thing that I have noticed about Mark Bass amps versus other amps is that Mark Bass tend to be a bit more heavier. For example, when I was carrying the Fender Rumble, it was actually really light for the size of the Fender Rumble in comparison to this one. This one's probably about maybe like 30 to 40 pounds. So this one does have a bit of weight on it. So that's probably like the only discrepancy that I would say that is kind of like a drawback for me. Is it a deal breaker? Absolutely not. Not even by the slightest, because that's still not too heavy for an amp this size as well. Now, at first impressions though, in terms of tone and quality, I do feel like everything adds up and everything is there. Now, it's important to remember that this is a first impression review. So what I am going to do is I'm going to keep using this amp. I'm going to go ahead and do some more tests and experiments with it. I'll play along with some drums. I'll bring you those videos as well. So maybe in a few months, I can come back with a full in-depth review and let you know my opinions then as well. But for now, at first impressions, I'm loving the Mark Bass CMB 150 Black Line. If this has been an amp that you've been looking into, or even the brand Mark Bass, then I would recommend checking this one out. It is definitely going to be worth it. Depending on when you are watching this video, though, would determine if you're going to be able to get one. When I spoke with Guitar Center, they actually said that these were some of their last orders that they have of the CMB 150 Black Line, and they won't be getting any until around July or June of 2025. So depending on when you see this video, they may or may not be in stock. However, I would recommend just kind of waiting for it. If you are looking for a solid good bass amp, hold out and get the Mark Bass. That is going to be subjective. If you like the Fender Rumble better, go for the Fender Rumble. If you like Ampegs, go with that. It's to each their own. But that's how I feel about the Mark Bass CMB 150 Black Line bass amp. If you have any questions at all, I encourage you to drop a comment down below. I'll do my best to assist in the best possible direction. Before you go, please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and ring that bell, as I will be bringing more videos like this for you all. With that being said, I appreciate you, your time, and your support. Have a great day.